Finally, I get the chance to review one of my favorite pieces in my collection, which would be my rarest and most collectible gun that I own, and that would be the G&G Fabrique Nationale Carbine, or the FNC, which believe it or not was sold to me by a fan named Ryan from the South Texas Airsoft channel, which of course I'll be linking in the description down below. So without further ado, let me show you what makes this piece of Airsoft's past so awesome. I'm Scott Slade Holmbeck, and this is US Airsoft. Now I might get a little excited about this rifle, but I'll try to remain clear and read out my script. And since there's no box to go through, we can cut about a quarter of this video off. So let's get started with a quick little history lesson before we move on to the muzzle and work our way down to the folding stock. Now you may have noticed that this would be the long-barreled FNC, which gives this rifle a bit of a length at 40 inches. Now there would be a short-barreled version from G&G and Ares, which was known as Star when they produced the FNC in 2005, but those would be much rarer than the long version that we would have here, which did also sell for $300 to about $470 when they came into the market to when they were disappearing from the web. And as far as I know, this would be one of the two FNCs in my city of San Antonio, but the other one is in good hands, which belongs to an owner who is aware of its rarity. And if you're wondering why these are no longer made, it would be because simply G&G saw no need to continue the FNC and canceled licensing the product, which made it limited in quantity, or at least that's what I was told by a rep that used to work with G&G that does not want to be named. But like I was trying to get at, let's begin this review with the flash hider that didn't come with the rifle when I bought it from Ryan, but this braid can be had for $20 on the web and will screw onto your standard 14mm counterclockwise threads. As to expect of a higher end G&G, the barrel will be made out of metal, like everything else on this rifle that's supposed to be made out of metal, like the heat shield and the front side assembly that sits just behind the swiveling front sling point and bayonet mount. This sling point is of course reliable and will tilt a full 360 degrees when you want it to, but won't spin freely just by shaking the rifle, which will cut down on unwanted noise that could give you away on the field. The front side is adjustable for elevation and will also feature the correct styled grenade sight / gas cutoff valve. Now this won't be very useful for us airsofters, but thank God they included it for realism, but it does serve a purpose in the installation of your battery. To install a battery, go ahead and flip the grenade sight up. Next, you'll have to push this retaining clip towards the flash hider until it comes loose. Then your handguard should come apart, revealing your small type connections and a space that should suit any nunchuck or butterfly type battery. You do have some space to play with, so go ahead and get creative. Then you can reverse the installation process to get everything back together. But be sure to line up the panels with these push pins before pushing the retaining clasp back in. Talking about the handguard, you may have realized how large it is. Some people like it and some people do really hate it. But I really do enjoy it, as it does give me a bit of room for comfort. And since it is made just as good as the rest of the rifle, I can't complain about any faults in it. And just atop, you would have your mock gas regulator that actually moves left and right like the real thing would. So I do keep mine to the left for normal use, but this does nothing to this airsoft replica at all. Now with the barrel assembly and foreguard done, let's check out the robust receiver area. The upper and the lower would have a bit of a dual tone look going on, and the edges and durability of the body remind me of an ironclad ship. And graced on the upper receiver would be some very faded FN style trades. Now referring to an old review I remember watching from Jarek 4, I did hear,
"This gun doesn't feature any trademarks, however there is actually one trademark on the magazine."
But as you do see, these are so faded that anyone would have missed them, unless I pointed them out like I'm doing here. And then again, I'm not sure if even his had any trades on it, as companies will add and remove minor traits, and maybe G&G didn't even have the licensing back then, as his looked like one of the originals telling by the flash hider that is correct to the rifle, as the newer versions came with an M16 styled birdcage flash hider. You'll also find some engravings on the magazine, both on the side and underneath, giving this high cap some character. And while I'm touching on the magazine, you may have noticed that it's a bit longer than the normal airsoft styled USGI M4 M16 mag. But it would be correct to the real magazine because most airsoft M4 mags are a bit short. So far I've said nothing but good stuff, so let me pick on something I don't like about this replica, and that would be hands down the pistol grip, as it's not really that faithful to the real FN rifle. This M249 grip isn't bad, but it's just not correct to me. It shouldn't have been hard to make a blank polymer grip like what I can find on my ICS Galils, but whatever, that's just something that bugs me. But something that is faithful to the real rifle will be the large trigger and trigger guard. These would be larger than more common rifles you would find to accommodate for large cold weather gloves, but I do find myself grabbing the gun through the trigger guard when I do pick it up. And another plus would be the fire selector switch, although it can be a little awkward to switch into full auto, but it's still a plus to me because it is correct. Besides the Mach 3 round burst. You see, the G&G FNC features 3 fire selections: safe, semi-auto, and full auto. As you may have just thought, the 3-round burst was added again just for realism, but not as a functioning feature, which does sadden me quite a bit. Because with the accuracy this thing can dish out, I would have loved to have a burst mode. But as I'm not a daredevil to take tools to this classic, I will just leave it alone until the gearbox one day dies out on me. Then I might add a MOSFET to make that selection useful. Another thing about the selection switch will be the movement your hands will have to take to go all the way into the real full auto indent. It's quite hard to do without adjusting your hand placement on the rifle, and I'm sure that was done intentionally to persuade real armed forces to refrain from going straight into full auto so easily, when they could always have just gone into burst mode. Moving along, we would have the mag release. This is simple and should fit anyone who's ever used an M4 rifle before, and it should drop free any magazine easily, but some advanced mags may suffer. But that doesn't really matter because the old school mags look better in my opinion anyway. Now for the bolt and hop up, we would have a rather nice display. Pulling back the bolt, you'll see that it goes all the way back with ease, and that the bolt curtain does work to keep any debris out of the body. This bolt won't lock back, so you'll need to hold it as you alter your hop up, but once it's set, you shouldn't need to fix it again for your preferred BBs because the gears would be quite stiff. This bolt assembly was made very well and tough, but I have seen FNCs with their bolt handles broken off, so if you do own one of these, then don't go crazy when letting the bolt slam forward. But it is your rifle, so I shouldn't be telling you what you should be doing with it. You bought it after all. But moving to the top, you would have your rear sight that is adjustable for windage. You'll also be receiving a choice of 2 different peepholes, but these are pretty much the same diameter. However, you may have noticed this cut in front of the sight, which if you didn't know, would be used for a sight rail that can lock in between the sight and the gas regulator. These can still be found today, but I'm fine without it on my rifle, because the iron sights that this rifle came with are pretty dead on. While using the iron sights, wherever you point this rifle, if you're aiming, the BB will go there. But then finally, we would have the folding stock, which can be a pain to fold. Now this rifle was never intended for close quarters, so folding the stock is more for storage and transport, but this thing will take a bit of effort to get folded, while other stocks out there might fold without any problem at all. So this would be one of the very few cons I could find about the FNC. But besides that, this stock is solid and still doesn't wobble after all these years. Then on the base and on the mount of the stock would be your rear sling mount. These would be too small for any clip-on slings, but it looks like Ryan added a ring onto one of the loops, which really makes everything easier. Now sadly, I did forget to film the chronoing of this G&G, but I do remember readings of 420 to 430 feet per second with a 0.2 gram BB and 11 rounds a second with a 9.6 battery, which isn't exactly a high rate of fire, but I use semi, so that really doesn't matter to me either. All in all, I love this rifle, and it really reminds me of how Airsoft was produced just a couple of years ago. But if you guys would like more information about this G&G, then be sure to check out these other videos that will be linked in the description down below. Or if you'd like to see the real FNC in action, then go ahead and check out this link to the Firearms Blogs video over on their channel. It's an awesome little video, and you just might learn a few things. But I'll leave you guys with a bit of shooting as I head out to go film a new gameplay video. But be sure to comment down below anything you have on your mind, or if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to show me by giving this video 100 likes. But until next time everyone, this has been Scott Hollenbeck. This has been US Airsoft. And I'll be sure to see you all next time. Birdies. Birdies.